friends. Welcome to Sky House Herbs podcast. I'm Ashley Elenbaas, a clinical herbalist, and in this space, I share my knowledge and experience with plant medicine to help you on your own journey of healing and transformation. Join me in exploring the ancient wisdom of plant spirit medicine and how it can be used to heal the body, mind, and spirit. We'll talk to experts in the field and share stories from people who've been transformed by powerful plant allies. New episodes are released each Monday, so please subscribe. And now, let's explore this mystical world of plant medicine together. Hey Herbies, welcome in. Today we'll be looking at the plant Rhodiola Rosea, which is a wonderful adaptogenic and immune tonic. I think this is a very suitable plant to talk about, especially as many of us are facing long-term stress, anxiety, depletion, and this herb has so many benefits, and I'm excited to share all of these with you. This talk is part of our Herb of the Month series, and if you didn't know, there is a whole database of single plant remedies, and I do a deep dive into single plants, how they were used traditionally, their energetics, clinical trials and data, and then my own experiences using these herbal medicines. To watch this full list of Herb of the Month videos, click on the link below in the descriptions and choose and maybe even make your own self-study herb course by studying one herb at a time, one herb a month. A few other announcements before we dive in. The first one is if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please take a moment to click subscribe, click all notifications so that way you hear when my latest videos come out. My second announcement is my upcoming garden gatherings, which are now open for enrollment. If you live in the Minneapolis area or anywhere around the Twin Cities, please join me this summer once a month, and I'll share with you everything I know about plant medicines and working with the cycles and seasons of nature. The final announcement is that our Herbal Apprenticeship Foundations course is now open for enrollment as well. It will begin on April 17th is when the course opens, and our first class will be on April 18th. I have a video at the end of this episode where you can learn more, so please stay tuned and watch that video if you are feeling ready to dive in a little bit deeper into the study of plant medicines. Right, friends, here we go. This is a great herb, and if you don't know about rhodiola, you are about to have your mind blown. I wanted to show you a picture. This is a handout that I create for all of my herb students. Rhodiola Rosea. Think about it as an Arctic adaptogen. It grows native all throughout Scandinavia in very cold Viking regions, and I often think about it as Viking medicine. And if you think about the Vikings who went on long voyages over fjords and seas, over mountains, they would often pack along rhodiola root to chew on to help with endurance and travel fatigue. Throughout the Scandinavian, Nordic, and even the Siberian areas, this plant was used for helping the body to maintain its energy stores and having strength and stamina to last through those very long, cold, dark winters. So that tells us a little bit about this plant. And even that bright yellow center that we see in the flower tells us that this plant has a energizing and activating quality. That makes it particularly good for people who are feeling worn down, depleted, fatigued, and tired. You might be wondering, well, what does the name rhodiola mean? Well, the word rhodon is Greek for the word rose, and eon means little or tiny. And that refers to two things, that the flowers and the leaves themselves, as we can see here, kind of look like roses, kind of green succulent roses. But the other more important reason is that the root, when you scratch the bark of the root, it smells like rose. So it has this beautiful rose fragrance from which it gets its name. This plant grows quite low to the earth, and it has these very succulent clusters of leaves. And most of its energy is stored underground in its roots, and that's where the medicine is. That is the part that we use for medicine, for building our own reserves back. In the winter, this plant will die all the way back, leaving kind of some scruffy, scrubby leaves and branches. And then in the spring and summer, it comes into that full succulent bloom with those bright yellow flower heads. The energetics of this plant are very important when considering if it is a good fit for you. Rhodiola is considered warming and drying. Therefore, it is ideal for the person who runs a little bit on the cold or cool side and tends to be a little bit damp. Now, I do want to say that seasonally, this also can match up really nicely to the late winter and the early spring, which tend to be seasonally a more wet and cold time of year. And using an herb like rhodiola is really nice because you're going to be working with what is coming ahead, which is the warming and the drying energies that come in later spring and early summer. So you can kind of think it like we're prepping our body. We're using something that is going to pull us out of the winter funk and give us more energy, lightness, levity for the summer and spring that's ahead. And on that note, I want to say that this is not something that you should take long term. I don't typically recommend rhodiola for years and years, maybe like mushrooms or other deep immune boosters. But this is a more short-term use to pull you through a very depleted time. Therefore, think about something in the range of maybe 3 to 6 months tops, and then letting your body take a break. What's really nice about rhodiola is that it is a stimulant without agitation. Think about it kind of like the boost you get from drinking green tea, but without the jitters. It's a very clean, crisp type of energy and stimulant. This makes it not ideal for people that suffer from anxiety and people who already maybe have some nervous system overexcitability. Instead, you might be better suited by an adaptogenic herb that has a little bit more of a relaxing energy. Medicines that come to mind might be reishi mushroom as a great energy builder, or even schisandra berry. It doesn't have quite the same stimulating effect as rhodiola does. This plant has a very long historical use, as I mentioned, and it was traditionally used throughout Northern Europe and Asia. And in Siberian traditions, it was often given to newly married couples to support fertility and vitality. In Scandinavian folklore, the root was regarded as a strength-giving plant and was consumed to improve endurance during demanding physical labor. The rose fragrance of the root carries symbolic meaning in many traditions as well. Roses are associated with vitality, heart-centered awareness, and renewal. This reflects the plant's ability to restore resilience, awaken energy in those who feel depleted or discouraged. So let's do a little run through the herbal actions. What are the actions that this plant has on the body? Well, number one is that it is adaptogenic, which means it helps the body adapt to stress. It has a cortisol lowering effect in the body overall. And this can help with people feeling that fight or flight response and being able to come back to a place of homeostasis after a stressful event more quickly. The compounds in rhodiola, rosarin and rosavin, are both connected to this effect of adaptogenic response in the body. And we've studied those compounds and know that they help the body regulate its cortisol and hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis response in the body. Other actions include anti-fatigue, neuroprotective, that they've actually shown in a number of different both rat and human trials that rhodiola extracts help with brain protection and help with decreasing cognitive decline in otherwise healthy adults. Rhodiola is mood supporting and antioxidant, which means it helps to prevent from free radical damage in the body. So let me just read to a few of the clinical trials. One randomized controlled trial involved 60 patients with fatigue syndrome who received either rhodiola or placebo. Participants that received the herb showed significant improvements in fatigue symptoms and overall performance. And this was a study that was done in 2009. And then another study, subjects were tested for workload endurance. And it showed that taking rhodiola, they had anti-fatigue index scores at 1.01 at the higher dose and 1.03 for the lower dose and 0.9 for the placebo group. Both groups and doses showed statistically significant reductions in fatigue and workload. And I was reading some other studies. There was one that was done on people that had to work the night shift. And they found that when people, and I think it was doctors specifically that were working a night shift, that their concentration, focus, and their ability to carry more complex cognitive loads and problems in their head were increased when they took the rhodiola. So Also published in the Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundation, they found that studies show that rhodiola helps to enhance cognitive function, memory, and attention while reducing mental fatigue and stress. Studies suggest that it may help with age-related cognitive decline and memory impairments by acting as a neuroprotective agent. There was another study that I thought was really interesting. They had a multi-center clinical trial with 100 patients with chronic fatigue, and they took 400 milligrams daily. The study showed improvements in fatigue, stress symptoms, and in cognitive function. Another study looked at rhodiola for major depressive disorder, and this was in the Phytomedicine Journal in 2015. And they found that this phase 2 clinical trial compared rhodiola extract with sertraline, and placebo in 57 patients with major depression. Rhodiola produced antidepressant effects with fewer adverse side effects as compared to the sertraline. And it's always nice when they take drugs or pharmaceuticals and compare it with herbs, and they find that they can often have similar effects and with less side effects. And the last one is a systemic review where they took 11 controlled clinical trials and they compared all of the evidence, and they did find that rhodiola was effective on fatigue and stress related conditions compared to placebo. And this was from the BMC Complementary and Alternative Medicine in 2011. Now I want to turn our attention to another use of this herb, and it's probably the way that I often use this herb the most, which is for perimenopausal women who are having brain fog, fatigue, lack of motivation, difficulty with endurance sports and training, and are just feeling overall kind of blah. Oh yeah, and then water retention. This herb is an ideal candidate for that exact picture. There are some studies that have been done on menopausal and perimenopausal women and rhodiola. So let me read those to you. In one study, this was 220 menopausal women. Participants received either black cohosh alone or black cohosh plus rhodiola or placebo for 12 weeks. The rhodiola plus black cohosh group showed significantly greater improvement in menopausal symptoms, including hot flashes, mood changes, sleep disturbances, fatigue, and quality of life scores. This study shows that when we combine herbs, we can also have an even stronger effect than those herbs alone. I was trying to find out how much of the black cohosh and the rhodiola they used, and they had a proprietary blend, which is always kind of frustrating. So they did a standardized extract of the black cohosh, but I was able to see that they did talk about the dosage windows. For the rhodiola, it was between 144 and 400 milligrams, which is about the standard dose. And the black cohosh is not very clear. It was 13 milligrams of their black cohosh standardized extract. So that's all we have there. In another study, this was done by Brown in 2015, he proposed that rhodiola might be acting as a selective serotonin receptor modulator, or an SERM, which is why it tends to be very helpful in menopausal women. We know that a lot of the reasons why women experience fatigue and sleep disturbance and hot flashes during perimenopause and menopause is because of these fluctuations in estrogen. And the idea that rhodiola might be a estrogen modulator, a phytoestrogenic mediator of some kind, is very promising. And I think that is a great reason to try this if you are experiencing those symptoms. I think for me as a clinician, what I look for is the best match. And so I often think in my head of kind of the perfect symptom picture along with the energetics. And then if everything matches up, then I say, okay, let's work with this plant. Therefore, if you tend to run a little bit cool, you tend to be a little bit damp and sluggish, you're having mood dysregulation, you're feeling fatigued, heavy, unmotivated, all of those things, then you might benefit from rhodiola. Let's talk about dosing now. The recommended dosage for rhodiola is typically given as a tincture, and I would recommend working with this herb as a tincture rather than a tea because of the flavor, and also because you know you're you're getting a more standardized extract. Start with 1 milliliter every morning, and that's going to be about a dropper full. See how that goes. If you don't notice a big shift after a week, increase it to 2 milliliters in the morning. This is not an herb that I recommend to take in the evening because of those stimulating qualities. You may want to stick with this plant for at least a month to 2 months to see if it has an effect. For many people, it does take some time to have that deep working and rebuilding of the underlying cortisol structure in the body and in the brain before you might notice some large effects. If you don't want to take a tincture, then you can also take this herb as a capsule or a powder, and the recommended dose is between 200 and 400 milligrams daily. Rhodiola is generally tolerated very well in most individuals. However, there are a few cases where you would want to avoid this herb. One is if you are pregnant or if you are breastfeeding, individuals with bipolar disorder, or those that are using strong stimulant medications should not take rhodiola. And if you are on any SSRIs or any cognitive changing and mood regulating medications, please consult with your medical doctor or with a qualified herbalist to discuss maybe trying these in conjunction. As with any herb, if you notice that your body is not responding well to it, discontinue immediately and consult a licensed medical professional. A few anecdotal stories about rhodiola. The first one came from Rosemary Gladstar, who is a beloved herbalist in our community. I would say kind of the Renaissance revitalizer of herbalism here in North America. Rosemary shared that with running her herb school, raising a family, making products, and all of the work that she was doing when she was in her 30s and 40s, that she would take rhodiola to help her get through the busiest times of year. And she said, I really don't think I could have done it without rhodiola. And she said, and it was especially helpful around perimenopause. And so I started scratching my head thinking, well, that sounds a lot like me. I could use some help with that as well. And I started taking rhodiola. I've taken it a few times on and off over the years, and I always find the same thing. It's this gentle, steady, buzzy lift that gives me that extra focus and clarity to get through all of the tasks in my day, to get to the gym for my workouts, to help me respond more effectively and appropriately to stressful situations, and to build me back after months of depletion. And right now I'm taking it because here in Minnesota, we are still in late winter, early spring, and it's that dark, heavy, muddy time of year, and my spirit's feeling a little bit dark and heavy and muddy. And I find that rhodiola, along with olive flower essence, is a really nice pick-me-up. Personally, I take 2 dropperfuls of the tincture every morning. I would love to hear your stories about rhodiola. How do you use this herb? Have you tried it before? And if you live in any of these regions I mentioned where it naturally grows, can you share a picture? I would love to see some wild pictures of rhodiola as it's growing in the Scandinavian countries and this beautiful planet. So please do share those and share any questions that you have as well. Please stay tuned to learn more about my upcoming Herbal Foundations course. I think it is a wonderful way to continue deepening your love and your passion for herbal medicine. So watch that, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Hey friends, welcome in. Today I want to share with you a bit about my upcoming Herbal Apprenticeship course. This course is called Herbal Foundation, and it's a wonderful way for you to be engaged in plant learning. You'll learn how to make your own home apothecary, how to grow plants, and how to learn the names of plants that grow right around you. Let's start at the Sky House Herb School page. Go to the Herbal Foundations Apprenticeship. You can learn all the details about this upcoming course and the types of things you'll learn. Our Vitalist approach will teach you ways of viewing the body and the plants from an ancient traditional perspective. You'll learn the language of hot, cold, damp, and dry, the 6 tissue states, and ways of making the elements come alive right in front of your eyes. One thing that people love about this class is you'll get a chance to take the herbs into your body and build a relationship with 20 different plants. We use a pairing method, so you can compare and contrast 2 herbs that are often thought of as similar, but you will learn how how different they really are. In this course, we will have live classes where you will get a chance to ask your questions, do a review of the course material, and also be together in community and talk about how the plants are affecting us and how are we applying this information into our daily lives. Let's take a look now at the Sky House course itself. When you register, you will get access to our course page, which includes welcome content. You'll have slides that you can download, access to journal pages and worksheets, plant pairing information for each of the plants, and some optional reading to use. We provide you with supportive activities like sensory meditations, journal questions, and plant walk guides. Also included are plant info sheets, and many students like to print these out and save them. We'll give you detailed information, including actions, energetics, botanical names, and things that I know about these plants from my own clinical practice. You'll learn traditional uses, dosage, and safety, and we'll always provide you with references and sources so you can learn about these plants on your own. Once a month, we'll meet together in community. We'll talk about the plants, what we're learning, and the questions that we have. All of these are recorded and will be saved on the course platform right here. Some highlights from the course are visualizing your own herbal sanctuary, imagining an apothecary that you can easily reach to and access for all of your own health and your family health needs. Students love learning about the 4 elements and how these translate into your work with the plants. We will go step by step through the 4 elements, all of their fundamentals. We'll cover the herbs that are most associated with each of these elements and what these elements look like when they're in balance and also when they're out of balance. I'll bring you into my kitchen and show you how to make your own folk remedies. And at the end, we'll review every single herb that we've taken and studied so you can more deeply understand at that next level how this herb works, remember how it affected you, and how you might talk about this herb and share it with others. One of my favorite pieces is sharing with you clinical data, facts from science and clinical trials that will show us exactly how these herbs work in the body. And along that line, also how we can safely use these herbs in practice. And a favorite piece is sharing student experiences from my 13 years of teaching this course. If you're interested in learning more and you'd like to enroll, you can enroll right on the website. Go to skyhouseherbs.com, scroll down, and you'll see our enrollment payment options. You can pay the early bird rate, click on 12 payments, and you'll see the monthly rate. If you need financial support, we do offer need-based tuition. Click on tuition assistance and you fill out an application to see your eligibility for need-based pricing. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at info@skyhouseherbs.com. Let me know your questions, your thoughts, what you're excited about for this course, and I hope to see you in the Foundations program.